What's up, fam? Just want to have a quick chat. Want to express my thoughts about the rioting situation, also the deportation situation, because a lot of people are kind of getting confused because the issues are kind of getting convoluted to where people are, not knowing what side they stand on, what's right or what's wrong, and so forth. And so I would just really encourage people to understand this, that there's something called karma, and that's just a universal principle, meaning it's something that none of us have control over, in the sense where we're all subjected to it. Karma just means, what goes around, it comes around. Karma just means what energy you put out is the energy that comes back. Karma simply means if you put out good energy, then good energy is going to come back. That's a law. If you put out bad energy or evil or negative energy, evil, negative, or bad energy, it's going to come back. However, you have different time periods. It could be this lifetime or the next. Nevertheless, it comes back. Okay, now we don't, a lot of us and most of us don't want to accept that, don't want to believe that, because we know that the things that we have done, we don't believe that we should have to answer for it. But that's simply not the way. We've been deceived into believing that we can just do and say whatever we want and nothing's going to happen. It is going to happen. How it's going to happen and when, we don't know, but it is going to happen. So that energy does return back. So in saying that, I have been in a position where I have been down. Okay, so I know how that feels. I have been in a position where I have been down, and I have been kicked while I was down, and that really hurts, to be kicked while you're down. Okay. Now I also understand that the person that kicked me is basically going to be examined by the universe to see if they were justified in kicking me, if they were. Okay, because I may have needed to be kicked due to something I did. Maybe I kicked somebody. This is just an example. Okay, perhaps I kicked somebody, and 3 years later somebody came and kicked me because I needed to learn the lesson. I needed to understand how it felt and all the ramifications of kicking somebody. I don't know until somebody, sometimes that's how we learn. So anyway, it happens anyway. The karma energy comes back. So say somebody kicks me, universe examines them and may exonerate them. Maybe they didn't do it with a malicious heart. Maybe unintentionally it happened. Nevertheless, it did happen. Just an example. So, or maybe that person did do it intentionally, and now somebody's going to come and kick them at some point. Karma's going to come back and get them. Whatever energy we put out, the intention behind it comes back. So I'm just saying that to take a look at the deportation situation, because so many people are so quick to judge and condemn people and jump on the bandwagon when they see people falling or when they see people down. And that is going on so much, okay, where you have a certain people that have been down and are down, and you have so many people from all over the world taking advantage of that and try to kick them while they're down. Now,
in my extended family growing up, where they would say the most horrific things about black people being less smart, educated, hardworking, or deserving of all of the things that Indians have, or that black immigrants were fine, but that black people who were native to the United States were not as good as immigrants. So as an attorney, I've worked in criminal justice reform, I've worked in race rights and discrimination, and I know the unique struggles that Black people face in America and are now facing from immigrants of a lot of different backgrounds, because immigrants keep trying to distance themselves from Black people while also taking the benefits of the fact that Black people are always at the forefront of fighting for anti-discrimination, and I know the unique struggles that Black people face in America and are now facing from immigrants of a lot of different backgrounds, because immigrants keep trying to distance themselves from Black people while also taking the benefits of the fact that Black people are always at the forefront of fighting for anti-discrimination and fighting for people not to be treated badly.
You're dealing with a situation where you have a lot of immigrants being deported. You know, how should we feel? I couldn't tell you how you should feel, you know, about the situation, okay? Because there is being kind of, you know, convoluted and complicated. However, remember karma. What energy you put out. Now, you laughing at somebody that's being deported, is that really, are you really in position to do that? Are you really in position to do that? Okay? Meaning, are you, so when the universe examine you, will you be justified in laughing at somebody when they were down? Now, the person that's doing the kicking is going to be examined. The person that's doing the deporting is going to be examined by the universe to see if this is justified. Now, we know there's a lot of human rights, you know, being violated. Not a lot, but pretty much all the human rights being violated in this, and the universe don't stand for that. So, nevertheless, you laughing at people being deported. I can't tell you that, you know, if that's what you should be doing or not, you know, for real. And it sounds crazy because sometimes the universe will have people get laughed at because that's their karma. And in order for you to get laughed at, somebody has to do the laughing. I don't know. You have to examine yourself to see if you really in that seat of judgment, you know, and in a position to really be laughing and condemning somebody. Now, I'm gonna tell you how foolish it would be for certain people to do that, because the pendulum is always going to swing back around. Matter of fact, it's already put in place, because there's executive orders, for instance, that's been put in place to come after, you know, the criminals in the Black community. Now, this definition of criminal is you know, always such a broad thing that gives people with bad intentions leverage to, you know, do bad things, evil things, destructive things, you know. So, you have to make that determination, you know. Are you in position to be condemning, mocking, and laughing at people that's going through hardship, even the ones that may be wrong? Because some of them have, I say a lot of them have evil hearts. And I'll say that because all people have evil people. All people have evil people, okay? You have people that have evil hearts, meaning no matter where you place them on this planet, they are going to always end up causing like trouble or hating people or whatever, because that's just the way they are. It has nothing to do with their language. It has nothing to do with their religion or anything. It's just the way they are, because you have people in religions that are very, very, very hateful. We know that in religion, how people got religion was through, you know, destroying people. So, and then you got good people. So, it's already put in place. And I'm not saying that when the pendulum come back that you're not going to be justified. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that just know that energy, the karma exists, and that energy we put out, you know what I'm saying? We put out love, compassion, mercy, and those type of things. That energy is going to come back in the time that we don't need it. So, you know, you got to examine yourself and say, hey, am I in a position that I'm so good right now that I will never need compassion? I will never need mercy. And that's one of the deceptions of, you know, dealing with karma. People thinking that it's impossible for things to come back on them. Okay. And that's a tough one, because especially for those of us that may have had a lot of things under our belt that we did bad, you know, but, you know, perhaps perhaps our humility and trying to make it right, when that energy do come back for us, there'll be some leniency, or perhaps looked at as a lesson learned or whatever. But just be mindful of that. However you respond, I can't tell you, how to respond one way or the other, really. Sometimes I feel some type of way about how people are responding, but then I have to remember, you don't know that person could be being utilized to do certain things, because certain people need to hear certain things, and certain things need to happen to certain people. It do. That's just part of karma. But good is gonna happen to those that seek good. So I'm not even. And that's all the way around. Those is doing the kicking. Those is doing the deporting. You're gonna get your day, every single one, and that's just the universal law. Those is being deported. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's gonna get their just day and opportunity. So just I see things. Be strong. Now I thought I was done, and there's so much to be said, but I'll be quick. I'm not gonna be long. I wanted to keep this short. I know I already went over the time I wanted to, but there's so much that can be said. Now I had an inspiration of thought, so I had to jump back on. Now listen, a lot of people claim to be believers in some type of religion or a God, or people claim to just be a good person or whatever. Not knowing how you measuring that, but I had a thought. In the Bible, there was something stated pertaining to like karma that Jesus, talked about. I'm not trying to guide you in any religion. I just thought this was interesting. This concept of karma that Jesus spoke about. And I'll read it fast. Okay, I'm not trying to, like I said, guide you in any religion or anything like that. Just the Bible has a lot of powerful things in here. Okay, and here is a concept on. Well, this is Luke chapter 13, verse 1. It says, "There were present at the season some that told him of the Galileans, whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices." So Pontius Pilate was killing some of the followers. It says, "And Jesus answering said unto them, Suppose ye that these Galileans were sinners above all the Galileans, because they suffered such things? You think these were worse than everybody on the planet just because you see them suffering certain things? It says, I tell you, nay, but except ye repent, ye shall also likewise perish." So that's kind of cold. Like, if you don't stop doing what you're doing, you see people suffering and they doing a lot of the same things you doing, but you see them suffering, you think you ain't gonna get the same thing? That's like karma. So continuing on, "Those 18 upon whom the tower of Siloam fell, slew them. Think ye that they were sinners above all men that dwelt in Jerusalem? I tell you, nay, but except ye repent, ye shall also likewise, or ye shall likewise perish." So that's just an interesting concept of karma, how, you you laughing at people and, your slate is not, clean or attempted to be clean or whatever, whatever. Judgment, but judgment you judge is going to be met, all that's in there. So I just thought that was interesting, and we need to know about in times like these so that we don't fall victim to our own decisions and choices, bad choices and decisions. So just trying to get it right.
But Homeland Security, Section 6, use of Homeland Security Task Force. The Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall utilize the Homeland Security Task Force, HSTFS, formed in accordance with Executive Order 14159 of January 20th, 2025, protecting the American people against invasion, to coordinate and advance the objectives of this order. So these African American communities, high crime African American communities, are now about to experience the wrath of the United States military, Homeland Security, and God knows what other agency. by the way, don't forget that he told the El Salvadoran government that homegrown criminals would be next.
We want to return him. That's not up to us.
And over the weekend, 10 more migrants were sent to that prison in El Salvador. Trump said he likes it, even for U.S. citizens, suggesting Americans could be next.
I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country, but you'll have to be looking at the laws on that.